Few. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in for another episode post-match Khanage. This time after a different type of 1-0 win, a different type of emotional win, but nevertheless the same amount of points that you get always for a win, which is 3 points. As I said, welcome to post-match Khanage. Smash the likes nice and early, folks. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already. All of that stuff. We're so close to 20K. I need to get that in under a year. And 11th or 16th of November, I'll double check is the date. Smash, share, like, tell your mates, tell your enemies, tell everyone. Like and subscribe. That was tense. That was not nice viewing, especially the second half. But we got the 3 points. We got the back-to-back wins that we have been so craving. And now we have a massive, huge opportunity to go and get another 3 points in the weekend, which would enable us to be, I believe, 4 points behind Man City. Unless Tom corrects me, like he maybe sometimes.
4 points. It'd be 4 points, yeah.
Yeah. Conroy, how you doing, mate, after that? That was a bit messy.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Again, probably lacked a bit of, if we took our chances in the first half, it's a much easier game. But looked nervous towards the end, got to be honest. And if we're being critical, Alisson and Milner's tackle / Alisson saves keep us in it. They miss a penalty as well. So by hook or by crook, it's about getting the points at the moment. But if I heard the stat at the very end of the game, you beat Rangers last week, you beat Man City. The most important thing tonight was getting the victory, because then it's 3 wins in the bounce, confidence for the camp. But yeah, it's by no means towards the end. It just looked like we just had to get it over the line, and we did. And you know what? I'd take that right now, Grizz, because we've been playing bad and losing games. I'd rather play bad towards the end and win a game. So not that we're necessarily poor, but you know what I mean. We made it difficult for ourselves.
100%, I agree with you. Mohit says a win, 3 points, players getting some sort of rest, back to back wins, scoring first, take it and run. Need this kind of win for the mentality too. Is that pretty much you, Dean? Is that sort of that message pretty much sums up our mood, the way we felt after that?
Yeah, listen, I mean, 3 points was the most important thing today. And however we got there, it was nervous at the end. I think that I think a lot of effort went into the City game as well. And I think there was a few tired legs towards the end there. So getting the 3 points, getting it over the line was massive. And as I said to you guys off air, I think Chelsea dropping points is big for us tonight as well. And obviously United or Spurs are going to drop points today as well. Hopefully both of them if it ends up in a draw. But it's good for Liverpool to get back in touching distance within that top four.
It absolutely is, isn't it, Tom? Especially after our start, we done the preview with Dan and Mick, and we were talking about how important it is to capitalize or keep the momentum going after the City game. It was just by hook. It was one of those ones, just by hook or by crook, get over the line, and then we go again.
Where City was a perfect performance from everyone, this was when we needed a perfect performance from one man, and that was the man between the sticks. And because he was so good, we sort of built off that, and it allowed us to rest a lot of players and build and rotate and everything. We weren't as good as City. I didn't expect us to be as good as City because it weren't as big a game. And I think that does play a factor when it comes to the players' mentality. But I enjoyed that win for different reasons. I like my defensive football. And bar one shaky moment from Joseph Gomez for the penalty, I thought we were very solid again at the back. I thought we didn't give up many chances. I thought but every way they tried to get at us, we dealt with it well for the most part. And we got the job over the line, like I said, just before we got live. That was a 19-20 win. And we need to get back to having that mentality of them 1-0s, them 2-1s, just being able to grind out them wins, because that's what will push us up this table. Not the fantastic 9-0s or 7-1s. You're grinding out your 1-0s against. I think we need to give them credit. A very good team in West Ham. People seem to forget that they're a very good side in European football. So that even adds on to how good a result it was.
Conroy, we go back to the start, and I think I think Dean touched on upon sort of, you could tell there's a few tired legs, which we knew there would be after the City game. So therefore, I kind of expected a bit of rotation. I believe 5 changes was there. Hold on, Nunez, Carvalho, Henderson 3, and the fullbacks 5 changes. Yeah. Did you expect 5 changes? And then when the team did come out, was you okay with the way we set up? Because obviously, then once the formation once the lineup came out, then the old age question comes up: what formation are we going to play? How did you find that all?
Yeah, no, I think it was. I wouldn't say surprised by it. I know you tweeted about Robbo not starting, but I actually think that's a good sign. I think shout out to Evan. He mentioned something about that earlier as well. He says it's nice to see that they're managing him back in, because you've seen how good he was against City. Looked like he had that sharpness back because he's had the time off, and I think it was actually quite refreshing not to see him chucked in again straight away. And he knows Costas can do a job, as he did tonight, by getting the assist. So, I was actually quite happy with that. And then I think as well, with regard to Trent, it's funny because Trent was out for 3 weeks, then he comes on, nearly scores against Man City and starts the next game. So that one was surprising in the sense that if you read how deep he was going to be off for, but I think it's revealed that it was never as long as it seemed. Quite happy with that, and I think I was quite happy. What I was hoping to see tonight, Grizz, is the system, the shape. If we're going to stick with the 4-2-3-1, 4-2-4, whatever you want to word it, I was confident we would, but it was nice to see it come through. And again, it seems that this is going to be the system going forward now. So for these type of games anyway. So yeah, I was happy with that. And obviously Bobby right now, I think he's in a strange vein of form right now. We probably had our worst spell, but his goals and assists right now are through the roof, and you can tell he's playing confident. So he had to start, and I felt like obviously with Jota unfortunately getting injured, I think Nunez was always going to start as well.
Yeah, crushing blow obviously with the Jota news, Dean, but some good news in terms of the returns of Oxlade-Chamberlain and Curtis Jones, who actually got some minutes at the end. So obviously great to see them back. They're gonna have to step up in some shape or form. Either sort of on the wings like Curtis Jones came on, or playing the Carvalho role in the first half. So even though I've got this set up here, the way we this is Anfield lot, shout out that this is Anfield website. The way they've got this set up, I think we tweaked it a little bit, lads, today. I thought it was very much a 4-2. I don't know what it was. All I know, I'm going to start muttering and spluttering when I start talking about formations. All I know is Carvalho wasn't wide left, Dean. Did you notice that too as well? Carvalho had over free row, didn't he?
Yeah, he did seem to do that. And I still think it's early in his Liverpool career for him, right? And I think you're totally spot on when you say about Ox and Curtis Jones playing in. And, I'm personally a big fan of Ox, and, I'm hoping he's going to get some minutes in the next few weeks. I would have liked him to come on today, but I guess probably throw in someone in who hasn't played any football in a long time now in a game when we're trying to hang on. Probably wasn't the right time, but I hope that against Forest that he gets some minutes at least. Curtis came on today and sort of filled in on that left-hand side. We might come on to the substitutions in a little bit. I thought they were a little bit strange today, to be honest with you. I thought that at that period of the game, they must have been pre-planned, is what I'm thinking. It was before 60 minutes. Nunez, who I thought was outstanding today, was causing them a problem constantly. And I think we looked less of a threat when he came off, actually, and it probably played into West Ham's hands a little bit because then they had a lot of the ball and we weren't as threatening going forward when Nunez came off. So yeah, just on the substitutions, I thought they were a bit odd today.
Tom, I'm going to ask you the same question, and hopefully you might answer it because Dean just went on to the substitutions. Carvalho's position and formation. Dean's so pissed off with the club substitutions. I want to get that in somehow. But going back to the formation chat, Nunez gets a start, which we kind of all knew and we wanted and we hoped. But I think a lot of us were a little bit upset or a bit mystified that Salah gets shoved out to the right again. Or did it kind of make sense today? I don't know. What did you make of the whole formation setup?
I was a bit shocked. I've got to be honest, I changed my opinion watching the game. I was a bit shocked that he'd done it, considering just how good Salah's been through the middle. He's got 4 goals in 2 games. It doesn't make sense at the start to move him out there. But while I was watching that game, I realised I don't think Salah and Nunez work as a front two.
No.
Even though it's both of their best positions. I think you need Bobby Firmino in there to be that link. I was loving the first half. Bobby was... sometimes he's playing lovely long through balls for Nunez to run to, or sometimes it was just nice little 1-2s with Salah linking up, getting him back into the middle. Firmino was such an important facilitator, and on Carvalho, I think he was very narrow today. It was almost like at times a 4 and in a box, and then Salah off to the right and Nunez up front. That's how narrow Carvalho was. But I really liked when he drifted over to the right for a little bit. There's a couple of attacks where he ended up finding himself with Salah and with Firmino, and it was a really nice link up there. I think Carvalho is someone who, when you watch him and Firmino together, like they were today when they were on it was really enjoyable watching them, just how they moved on the ball, how they kept hold of it, how they created attacks. But whether we see Salah and Nunez up front together is a different thing. Based off of how they both play, based off the positions they both want to take up, and how, rightly, they're both goal scorers, their first instinct is a shoot first. I'm going to get my shot off, I'm going to score the goal. I don't know how well they'd work together as a front two.
Conway, the game starts, and I was, again, just like you were saying earlier in your opening statement about in terms of you didn't really expect the same intensity, the same levels of sort of pressures and everything else. But I thought Klopp changed it enough just to have the players that he's changed to be pressing that extra bit more. So Nunez was on fire. I thought Henderson was energetic. I thought Trent started off very... I don't know how to... Help me out here, guys. I thought he started off very reservedly. Like, he kind of worked his way into the game. He didn't try to play any glamorous balls, not many overlaps, until the 20 minutes mark. And I kind of think that kind of affected us. But Bobby put on a real masterclass of a false 9 or number 10 performance, didn't he, in that opening half an hour or whatever it was?
Yeah, no, I think you can tell his confidence is sky high right now. I also think, just in relation to Tom's point, I felt like it looked that with that system and that formation, it looked quite fluid at times. Not all the time, but there was quite a lot of good moments in the first half, especially with Bobby. And I think you're right. I would actually ironically say Jota can be quite a good facilitator, even though he's quite... we think him as a goal scorer, but obviously he's injured now. I think he's done a reasonably good job at linking up with Nunez in the small sample size we've seen. But yeah, I thought Bobby looks really good at the moment. Even the shots he misses in the second half, I know you might laugh at me saying it, but see the fact that he's trying it, to me that's a good thing, because what's his biggest criticism in the past? It's not taking the shot on. So I thought his link-up play was really good. I feel like, I know Tom mentioned it, but the 1-2s in the edge of the box, I think when he lays off Salah, and I think he does it in a link-up with Carvalho as well, I think that's just, that's his game. He's always thinking about how can the team score, how can we create opportunity. Alternatively, Salah, Nunez, great as well, but I think Bobby's just very, very, he's always thinking like that ahead of the game. I was very impressed with him. I've got to be honest, it's came out of nowhere. It's like a renaissance from him. And like, I wouldn't say every performance he's had this season has been outstanding, because sometimes we like to do that. Sometimes we like to get, this many games, you score this many goals. When the Bournemouth game does kind of spin it a little bit differently. But I actually think as of late, his performances, as well as his input in the games with goals and assists, I think he's been brilliant. So yeah, he was superb. And I think we agree with Tom that going forward, I think if it is Salah, if it is Nunez, you'll have Bobby there. Also, can I add as well, just a little, we mentioned the chaos factor of Nunez. People sometimes think, maybe not reading into when we're saying, but there was a spell where he hits a shot, it hits the post, it comes back, and then he skews it wide. To me, that sums up Darwin Nunez in the games I've seen. Like, just chaos. And it's fun to watch, I've got to be honest. Just chaos in a good way, though. And tonight, again, I thought he looks very confident. I think after one season, he'll score quite a few goals already, but I think after one season, you'll see how good he can be.
I don't think there's any doubt, honestly, in terms of his effectiveness for Liverpool, in terms of how successful he'll be for Liverpool. Whether that emanates into the team's success, only time will tell. But his individual stats will stack up. I'm telling you that,
100%.
guys. I mean, these are 3 starts and 3 goals now. So you can brush it up how you want, talk about it how you want, analyze it, micro-analyze it. And I've said it from the start, Conor. Me and you've been speaking about it for months now. I said he'll score goals. He won't look pretty. I said it. He's not my type of striker. You've just touched upon Bobby. Bobby was poetry today. Bobby's the type of player that, if we all went 5-a-side, 6-a-side, or 7-a-side, or wherever a fucking side, we'd pick Bobby. Every single one of us would pick Bobby first time, especially if we're an attacker, because he'll make us look good. Like, we might be crap, but we know Bobby will set us up for a couple of tap-ins at least. And that's the beauty of Bobby. This guy's, Dean, I'll come to you. This guy's, I don't know. Conroy's spoken quite well of him, described him well. How are you describing this guy? Because even before that shot, he shows us another glimpse of, do you remember the shot he took against Everton and Pickford put it over the bar? This time he does it on his left foot. What a shot. And Conroy's right. He's got this confidence, and we're not sure where it's come from because he hasn't, according to many, had the greatest of starts. Yet, to me, it's a great sign that he's still confident.
Yeah, he's taking these shots on, isn't he? And it was, like you said, it was a great effort. And the one against Everton was brilliant as well. I think he's improving with every game. I thought today was one of his best games for us. I thought he was very good. I would like to have seen him stay on for longer. But I thought he was very, very good. And I agree with what you say. He'll score goals for Liverpool. In this team with people serving him that we've got in here, he would definitely score plenty of goals.
In terms of partnerships, though, do you think Tom's got a point? And I'll give my opinion. But in terms of partnership, it's very vital now that we've got a variety of strikers and attackers. All right, let's not call them strikers. Let's say attack. Now we've got quite a bit of variety in attack. And me and Conroy all summer were talking about variety in attack. But now it's very important that we don't just, well, at the moment, we haven't got much choice, have we, in terms of numbers? We've just got to show the same ones again and again. But is it important we get the right combination, Dean? Because there is a couple of partnerships working there, isn't there?
I totally agree with what Tom says in terms of Salah and Nunez up front, because they are very similar in the type that they're so direct and they're going to want to make those same runs. So I do definitely think that that's probably a very valid point. Whether Nunez is better working up front on his own or whether Bobby with him might work as well. And obviously we've got Diogo to come back probably in the new year. So yeah, there's plenty of options. Like you say, there are some really good options for the rest of the season. And things, once those injuries to Diaz and Jota clear up, things will be really positive after the World Cup, I think.
And until then, Tom, it's vital, as we said, isn't it? It's vital until the World Cup. We just need to be there or thereabouts. Now, what there or thereabouts means in terms of points, we don't know, because it's a wild season. We just don't know. Like, for example, right? Imagine it was Man City, Arsenal, like it was supposed to be this week, right? And suddenly, if we went against Forest, we were 4 points ahead. One of those two dreams would have dropped points. It just becomes, once it becomes single figure points difference, it's wild open. We know we can go on a run. It's so imperative that we just keep this momentum going. And today it was all about that, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, in the space of near enough a week and a half, we went from top 4 battle as hopes to, I'll tell you what, when I up them top 2, give us a little bit of a run. There's an avenue in there. But on Nunez, I was watching the game with my dad, and he gave the perfect analogy for him and Bobby. Bobby Firmino is like a lockpick. He's quiet, he goes about it, and he finds a lovely way through. Darwin is like a battering ram. It's still just as effective, but it's a lot more crude, but it still does the job.
You'll get on the other side.
Yeah. You get through either way. Someone does it with a little bit more style, a little bit more precision, and the other one just goes, I'm strong, I'm powerful, there's a goal. But this, like you said, it's just about building momentum today. Just about making sure. The worst thing that could have happened was we have such a great result, such a great atmosphere. Everything was boss about City, and then it all falls off against West Ham because we let ourselves down. Were we fantastic? Probably not. But that's not what matters. We don't need performances now. We're not desperate for a performance. We're desperate for results. We know how this team can perform. We just need them to start showing it on the pitch. And right now, all we need to do, we've got Forest, then we've got Leeds. and I think we've got Spurs after that, and then Southampton before the break. If we can pick up points in there, if we pick up 12 out of 12 there, we're flying. Get me after that World Cup straight away. If we pick up 10 and boss with that, this is just about we've finally hit that spell. We were sitting there wondering, is this the result that kicked us on when it was the 9-0? Is this the result that kicked us on when it was Newcastle? Is this the result that kicked us on when it was Rangers? And Rangers seems to have been the one with City where the players are now going, yes, we're liking this, we're liking the system, we're liking the style of play, we're loving it. Here we go. Here's our run. So more of the same, please.
Conrad, it was never going to be easy against West Ham, despite sort of people thinking, "Oh, turn up at West Ham." West Ham went with 3 pretty much very physical, tall, athletic, fit DMs, literally box to box. Declan Rice, Souček, and the other lad,
Flynn
Downs, yeah. Again, they was always going to just protect that back four as much as they could, and then just hope for a Bowen run or something, and a Fornell's inverted run. As Tom says, that first half we controlled them really well, didn't we? The conditions. Now, I'm not Jurgen Klopp here, and I'm not sat in a press conference. So whatever I say about the weather, who gives a shit, right? It's not like no one can accuse or criticize us for blaming the weather for what, but it definitely hampered our game. You could see Alisson. Some of the things he was trying to do, I was pulling my hair out. Now, I think my views on Alisson. I think with the ball at his hand and kicking from the ball in his hand, in terms of throwing the ball out, he's one of the best at distribution. With the ball at his feet, I genuinely think he's so overrated. It's unbelievable. I want him to do the simple things. No, I know you might disagree, but that's what I think. There was a couple of times where why?
Well, because I think the thing is, Grizz, you've got to remember, if you're a keeper nowadays and you play from the back, it's drilled into you from I don't know when Alisson started doing it, but it's drilled in that if you play this way, the thing is, I agree, Alisson sometimes overdoes it when he doesn't have to, wait till the player comes. But in his mind, it's like, I'll try that pass and we can set off an attack. Now, tonight, the difference was he made one mistake from a pass that he miscued, and then he tried the same thing again, and then he miscued it again. Both instances, especially the second one, I don't know what he was trying to do, because the man who he's even looking at was not getting it, and he had 2 men on him. So I don't know, but do you know what? I'm okay with it, because I do kind of have the mentality like some managers play out from the back, is in those instances you might lose 2 goals a season, but you might gain, I don't know, 50 attacks from it. But yeah, it was the second one that annoyed me. The first one can happen, but the second one he tried it. But do you know what, Grizz? I'm used to it now. This is a guy who made a mistake against Leicester, conceded the goal, and then the next match tried to chip it over someone's head. So I accept it. It can be frustrating. But I think, to be fair, Grizz, after that second mistake, he did kind of dial it back a little bit tonight, more than he did because of the conditions.
I think it was the confidence of the game before. Like, I've got more assists than Jack Grealish. Like, look at me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Almiron scored 4 Premier League goals, I think, this season tonight. So I think maybe the stats against Grealish aren't looking as great as previously.
Exactly. But,
and I like Almiron, by the way. Shout out to Almiron. Ever since he had that go at him, Almiron's been much better. So
I actually like Almiron. You know that. It reminds me a lot of Aspas. Iago Aspas for us. Like, I think there's a player in him. Honestly,
La Liga legend, Grizz. Aspas is literally going to get statue at Celta Vigo.
But look. I know we're going to come on and talk about Alisson in glowing terms. Of course we are. Why not? I just thought I'd get that out of the way, because it can cost you in a game like that. There was nothing for West Ham. It was nothing for West Ham. They were atrocious, or maybe we were good. I think it was a mixture of both. I didn't think we were overly great in the first half, but I thought they were atrocious. And I think it was the weather conditions that Alisson should take into consideration, because you're right. I think you're trying to do those golf swings, like where you're just trying to draw the ball in. And the wind was automatically just dragging his ball into West Ham players every single time. Yeah. But
I thought I had to take a double take. I thought I was watching a replay, but no, it was the same. It was a different attack.
Same thing. One of the changes that was made was Robertson for Tsimikas. Obviously, it's because of sort of not rushing it back, like Conroy said, and everything. Even though I was a bit surprised, because Robert was so good, and Tsimikas has been, I don't know. I don't know what
Hot
you
and
guys.
cold.
Yeah, hot and cold. That's pretty much it. Hot and cold. I agree with that. But this was one of his hot parts where he gets the ball and it's a peach of a cross. I love a goal like that. I love a striker. I love when your big strikers getting in the end of the cross and heading it right down into the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's proper. I don't know. Describe it. Why do you like it?
Throwback goal, isn't it? It's one of those.
Yeah.
An old big centre forward, brilliant header. It's a great goal. And on Costas, he's someone who polarizes opinion. So we're in a WhatsApp group, and a lot of people were giving him a bit of grief in the first half. But here's a stat for you. I know Tom loves his stats. I think in all competitions this year, I think only Kevin De Bruyne's got more assists than Costas Tsimikas.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
In all competitions, only KDB's got more. You're on mute, Conrad. You're on mute.
In England,
Out of Premier League teams,
because Messi's got about like 7 or 8.
Forget Messi. Who's Messi? Who cares about Messi?
Where's Messi's cross for Darwin Nunez? We don't do it.
He's just busy doing overhead kicks facing the wrong direction.
But that's an amazing stat, lads. Yeah. I mean,
you take set pieces, don't you? So you've got half, and he's got a very good set piece on him. Like, to be fair, how poor did people think it was against Rangers? And got
as well, though. Like this season, it's very important that he started to turn up with assists because Trent's still searching for his first Premier League assist this season. So it's an important thing that Costas has picked up the slack. I think I'm part of the one that he polarizes. I love Costas. He's boss. I don't like how a lot of people are so like polar opposites with him. It's either he's really, really bad, he's not good enough, or he's better than Robertson, he should be starting every game.
Yeah. So extreme.
Yeah, when you watch Robertson, you realise what a world class left back is. Tsimikas isn't a world class left. He's a good left back. He's a very good left back. He's a very good attacking left back. But defensively today, I thought for the penalty, he should not have went out when he did. That's a rookie error for a left back, and we have the holy goalies to thank for it not costing us. But attacking wise, the range of cross that man has, honest to God, he can whip them in low, he can whip them in high, he can even float them. Any type of cross you want from that left-hand side, he's got. And I think if you play him and Trent together, Tsimikas gets a little bit more space because people are more worried about Trent. People are less so going, right, touch tight on Tsimikas, make sure he can't get a cross in. I mean, the goal, fantastic cross. Ben Johnson doesn't get anywhere near him. Ben Johnson's sat off him, waiting for him to maybe pass it down the line. You can't give Tsimikas that space. So he polarised opinion, and I thought it was one of his better games today. One of his better ones.
Conroy, me and you have spoken loads about the two left backs and the different skill sets and whatnot. And do you remember when I said I think Tsimikas is better going forward, and it caused a bit of an uproar? And I think, but by far, I think Robertson is the more rounded fullback. Robertson knows that. I think Robertson's a far more better reader of the game, more composed. Tsimikas can have a rash moment. And he's right. He's the perfect understudy to having a world-class fullback. I thought he was very good in that first half. I don't think he was excellent in the second half. I think he was a bit, and in fact, it resulted in him getting taken off, didn't it? But we digress. We'll move on to the second half. Go on. You was going to say something?
No, just 2 seconds on this, Grizz. It's just to say, I actually think Tsimikas, his actual crossing ability is outstanding. I don't think he's examined it very well. He's not shown it very well this season. I think even the assists, a lot have been good set pieces. But last season, when he got opportunity, I was seeing some of the best crosses all season from a left back. I think when he's had opportunities this season, he's still got more in his locker. Like he can, because I've seen him do it more. And what I would say is on that, he's had a good start. I think what Tom says is the absolute best way to clarify it, because I said when people think he has a good game, it's amazing, and when he's had a okay game, it's terrible. And there seems to be people who love him. Greek Scouser, the man, he's amazing. Every time he has a decent performance, and then if it's not a great one, it's you're terrible. There never seems to be a balance, and it was very much like this when like Robo had a poor start. That obviously one side went up and the other. I think you just need to be balanced with it. I think Andy Robertson's ability to get up and down is quite unique, and I think because the way we play, that really complements our attack, guys. And I think you've seen that against Man City. So I would actually say in the crossing ability, I'd say probably Tsimikas' is crossing variety is probably better than Trent and Robbo. If you know what I mean, maybe that's unfair in Trent because he's in a poor form. Maybe I'm being too reactionary.
Trent hasn't been showing it in recent years.
Yeah. Trent's passing ability is the best. I'm not disputing that. I'm just talking about a standard cross. But do you know what? I feel like we just need to calm down a bit. I think we get too much one way and too much the other. I think Tsimikas is really good, and he's as you say, Grizz, he's a brilliant backup.
He is indeed. Guys, I've realised why everyone's pouring in now. I'm silly. We planned this for 10 p.m, didn't we, Conroy? And then you decided to change it to 9:30.
Yeah, well, I said the kickoff was a bit earlier, and then we just
I know. So
I'll take that one.
There's coming up to about 230 of you now, because obviously it's 10 p.m. and everyone thought it's at 10 p.m. So we've not gone too much into the game yet. So roll in, as they say, roll in. Smash a like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We are very close to 20k subscribers, so and I'm blown away. It's not even been a year fully, so let's get that up to 20k if we can. Let's get a like going for the 2 in a row Reds. What a mighty performance it was on Sunday. What a brave, I don't know, I mean, Conroy, we get the goal, fantastic header. I know you've been crying out for this kind of goal. Not everything has to be through Bobby Mo running on the outside, and then or Luis Diaz getting the ball, cutting inside. Sometimes getting the ball out to your fullback, a good enough cross, and the old Andy Carroll, like he's been compared to. What do they call him? I can't remember what they call him, but who gives a shit? Three goals, Darwin Carroll. They can call him what he wants. This guy is going to cause havoc. The defender, they were quite touch tight to him, but he's too strong, too powerful. And it's one of those fantastic headers, isn't it? The goalkeeper can't do nothing about it.
Outstanding header, Grizz. It's a brilliant header, very similar to Jota's header, I think, against Wolves a couple of seasons ago, when he flicks it bottom corner. And Bobby's against Tottenham is another one, quite similar like that. Identical, Grizz. I need to do something now. I think they just need to. I'll let Tom or Dean take this question because I think it's going to cut out for a sec. I'll just have to be back in 2 secs. But yeah, great goal, very similar to that goal. I'll be back in 2 secs.
Come back soon, pal. Come back soon. We miss you. Dean, that was a fantastic. It was a proper, as you said, a throwback. Keeper, it's one of those ones where keeper can't do anything about it, really, can he? It's one of those where it skids. You get the right pace, and it just skids off the surface, doesn't it? I don't know if you've scored some of those. I mean, I can remember it back in my head.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a brilliant goal. It was a great cross, like we said, and the header was absolutely outstanding. Like you said, the goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance with that. And again, it's one of those, like we said, we wanted a few more of those sorts of type of goals because, like you say, everything doesn't need to go through the middle of the pitch, so it's good to get one of those goals and add a bit of variety to our sort of attacking threat, definitely.
Do you know what it is, Tom? It's the opposition don't associate those kind of goals with us. Do you know what I mean? When the opposition sets up against us, guys, right? What they set up for is either a Luis Diaz. There was no Luis Diaz today. Or they know, all right, there's no Luis Diaz. Everything will be concentrated heavily on Mohamed Salah, Trent, and then Bobby Firmino side. And these kind of things, you're right. Maybe they switched off because even though we had a lot of the ball and a lot of shots, they were defending very deep and they were quite concentrated, weren't they, in their defense? I mean, Zuma was having a good start to the game. But these are the kind of goals where sometimes a set piece or a good old cross into the box makes all the difference and settles you down.
That is a perfect striker's header into the ground, back up. The keeper can't stop them. Because he's already diving to get it low, it bounces up, you can't stop them. That's a classic striker's header. I thought he had a very good overall performance today. His link-up isn't there. Will his link-up ever be there is another question. What people think his link-up will be. I just think for what he is, which I think is a classic striker that we've had in recent years, where it's running behind, have your chance to score your goals. There's not many best at him in the league already, because once it lands, once he has
How
that
many?
one
How many
game,
runs did he make in behind in that first half an hour
so
only?
many.
It was about
It,
5, 6 where he just ran the channels
he
and
had
he was
about he
through.
had about 7 shots. He had about 7 shots in that game, all from runs in behind. This was an unlucky day for him. We'll all sit down and say it's an unlucky day for Nunez. He's had a worldy keeper save for one, a good keeper save for another one straight after his goal, hit the post with an absolute rocket, and then a couple that have went over the bar. There will be a day, there'll be a game where
Everyone's
it's
saying
just
that.
his.
They're right.
The day it's his game, he'll walk out there with 5 goals, and you'll sit there and go, he could have ended up with 6 or 7. The man is just carnage, and I'm all for it. Like you said, teams are set up for years thinking their striker's going to drop off. They'll push their wingers in. Now we've got someone who stands up front and goes, try and outmuscle me, try and stop me running through. It's something that centre-backs haven't had to deal with. And when you combine that with the striker who has spent the past 7 years dropping in, defenders are now panicking. Do we follow the man dropping in, or do we worry about the man running behind? Either way, one of them is getting joy. And that's something that I think needs to be explored before the World Cup, because I think it could cause so many defences so many problems.
Conrad, it was your dream, wasn't it, to have someone like this? Me and Keith were looking for midfielders, and you was like, guys, I just want a number 9 in the box. And so you must be chuffed to bits with maybe not him per se, but sort of his profile of player that we wanted and needed.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've said before, I understand why Liverpool specifically went for him, because you have that presence and physicality and ability, aerial threat, effectiveness in the box, but you've got someone who's also able to run the channels, link up, and they'll think his link up's going to improve as well. So that's why they probably thought this was the perfect, your setup as a striker, your profile, as you said, that's what they're looking for. But I'm buzzing. See that goal tonight? That's what I'm talking about. You can't break a team down, but you've got the ability with your fullbacks to put a ball in the box, bang, 1-0. And you don't have to cut through a team. You don't have to cut them to shreds. It doesn't always have to be a goal like that. I mean, I say this all the time, and you're probably tired of hearing it, but if you watch United when they're so successful, don't act like Alex Ferguson's teams played well every game. That is absolute nonsense. If you great team on their day, unbelievable. But there's so many games where they won games in the last minute through literally loading the box.
Beckham cross.
And don't get me wrong, that's not tonight, because I'm not saying Nunez is just throw him in the last 10 minutes. You can have him in games. Tonight is the perfect example, Grizz. Not playing well. Okay, we played well to a certain extent, but let's say not being 100% and still winning games. This is why Nunez, or that profile, I think is very useful for the future. And I think right now, even if he's scoring when he's learning to link up with the team, think about the next couple of seasons. I think any doubters tonight would watch that and be excited for the future. So to me,
I don't think, the thing is, I don't think doubters will be excited. I think doubters will start shitting their pants like, oh shit.
But do you not think it goes under the radar a little bit? Because listen, I think Haaland's amazing, but see, because Haaland's everyone's watching him now, Nunez can just develop under the radar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
which I think is great. Tonight, I'd say he's right-footed predominantly. I know he can use both, and both those volleys tonight were his left foot, I'm sure. So unless I'm incorrect, I mean, maybe both, but the confidence, because the one against Everton was his right foot, which Pickford save. So to me, the confidence of this kid's really impressive. His mentality, I think, will get us places.
And he's bringing out the best in Bobby. I think Tom touched on it, because Bobby's been so used to playing as the number one, as the furthest forward, or dropping in, and then relying on Mane and Mohamed Salah going further ahead of him. Now we've got an extra weapon in our armory, haven't we? Now
he's rapid as well, Grizz. He's rapid. Like you've seen that at the weekend. He is fast.
Can someone confirm that? What was the stat today, Tom?
38 kilometers an hour is what he recorded today. Mm-hmm. Fastest in the league. Fastest in the last 2 years, actually, because Rudiger got 37.65 last season. That was the fastest 38 today.
And this is why, I'm absolutely gutted. Honest to God, guys, we're so unlucky. Now, I know we've been crap. We have been crap. Let's get it out there before people start saying, oh, here we go. Grizz is defending his team again. Well, first and foremost, of course, I'm going to defend my team. Am I going to fucking defend your team? Of course, I'm going to defend my team. But we have been crap. But the injuries to Diaz and Jota have been so gutting and crucial, because I don't think it's very difficult to control our attack, the variety of our attack, Dean. Now we've got a lot of options, a lot of ways of playing. And what we were waiting for was Jurgen Klopp and his coaches to utilize the variety of attack. Instead of playing the 4-3-3, 4-3-3, 3 in midfield, 2 wide men and a false 9, now we're switching it up. I'm so gutted that we've got Diaz and Jota, 2 world-class players missing, because, as Conroy says, this would have been perfect bedding in for Nunez, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The good thing is we've got more options now. Like you said, we're using different systems in different games, and we've proved that over the last 2 games, and we've got wins on the board. But yeah, it's frustrating with Jota and Diaz being out, but hopefully it won't be too long after the World Cup. I think we're expecting him back just after the World Cup. Is that right?
Yeah, Diaz will be back sooner, okay. And Jota is no one really knows yet, but I think I told you guys the day after that it's a torn calf muscle. They're suspecting him. Go on.
Can I just add, Grizz, about the Jota one? I actually think I'm actually really gutted, so gutted for him, but so also gutted. Because I feel like this was he's the type of player that I think he would shine in the World Cup, because I think it's a big loss for Portugal as well. Like, the manager rates him, and I know people joke about the Portugal team and Ronaldo calling the shots.
Not
and
a
stuff,
fan. Not a fan of him.
But Jota, if you look at the amount of times he's been involved in that team in the qualifying and stuff, I feel like it's a big miss for them as well. They've obviously got great players still, but I actually think that they're probably looking at it as a huge loss for the World Cup as well. And I'm gutted for him, because to me, I think he could show the world how good he is, because I think he's a very clever player. I'm not saying he's technically unbelievable, even though he did take the ball down against Rangers like Ronaldinho-esque for that Salah goal. But I think, I'm absolutely gutted. I've not been on a pod since, so I just wanted to say that, guys. I feel like that's really sad for the guy.
I share your...
We saw a different side to him against City. A side that we haven't really seen of him much at Liverpool, because at us, I'd say he's been a poacher. And I hold him in like the upper echelon of poachers in this league. His movement, his heading ability, his finishing ability, the way he just finds space. But what's so gutting about the injury is he was so good against Man City in a different way. The amount of ground he covered, the amount of work he done, that tackle.
Vital.
It was the tackle on Haaland in the 3rd minute in our own box. A superb tackle. And the fact that it was the last minute of the game that he was a minute away from being safe. That's what hurts the most. But
not only that. Apparently, he was sort of one of the guys in the red zone that we were, looking to rest or looking to take off, and that referee played 6 minutes or something, didn't he, of extra time at the end. I mean, I'm gutted. I echo everything that you guys have said. I'm growing to be a massive fan of Jota. He's only been here a couple of seasons, but he's becoming that. Like you said, he's not the most glamorous. He's not the most trickiest, skillful, whatever you want to call it, however you want to, FIFA type player, right? But he's one of those guys that he doesn't stop working for the team, and he's got that hunger and desire that every top champion team needs. Every top champion team needs one of those guys. So you have to have a balance. You can't all have your Messis and Mbappes and Neymars, right? That's why I don't think they'll ever win the Champions League. Maybe
the last 2, Grizz, but I think I think Messi's. Let's keep it that bracket over there.
But you need still a balance. Like every team needs So he brings that balance to our attack. He's you're talking about his pressing, his energy, guys. He's how what was Mane often praised for? Being the leader of the press, being the initiator, being the one who cuts off the angles. This guy is fantastic at it. But look, best wishes go out to Jota. If he's watching, or any one of his friends or families watching, we love him to bits, man. Hope he's going to come back. And he's the kind of guy that's so mentally strong. I'm so not worried about his comeback, if you know what I mean. Like, I know he's going to come back sooner rather than later. But we take the lead, and everything's still fine. We're fine. We're playing okay. Again, the conditions are windy. I want to put it out there. Not sure if Jurgen Klopp has said in his press conference, but I could tell, and my mates were saying it's very blustery.
Yeah.
No, but it does affect.
No, I know. I bet it's came up after we're saying this because we've not seen it. I bet it has.
But our passes were a bit behind a couple of times. You know, the wind affected it. We're creating a lot of very close situations. Bobby's one-touch layoffs was something to behold. And then something out of the nothing. I don't know, Conroy, you want to start with whose fault is it initially starts from? But then as soon as you see that, you think to yourself, once this play stops, that's going to be given.
Yeah, as soon as I saw from the angle of the camera, as soon as I saw Gomez go towards the ball from when it lands. Sorry, guys, I forgot. Is it a cross or is it a throw into the area? I can't actually remember. My head's
it's like a flick on. It's a little flick on.
It flicks it into that area, a kind of corridor of unknown. But as soon as Gomez, he basically dives in for it, goes for it to clear it. I'm like, if he doesn't get that, by the way. And as soon as Bowen got there, for me, that's one of them when you're watching football. If a defender goes all out and you just nick it in front of him, a lot of the times I think he's won that battle. So therefore, a lot of the time that's going to be a penalty. And as soon as Gomez didn't get any contact, I was like, that's going to go to VR. I'm like, I was quite early on. I think that's going to be a penalty. And for me, it is, because if you go in for that, you have to win the ball. That's why defenders try to be intelligent at times, hold off, jock him out, whatever you want. But you have to win the ball. You mentioned Jota's challenge against Haaland, Tom. If Jota doesn't get that, it's a penalty. And I know it's a different type of challenge, but basically Gomez has to get it. It's rash decision-making. He did play well, but that in that moment it was a rash decision-making. And it is a penalty for me. I don't know if you guys disagree.
I don't think, unless you want to come in, if anyone wants to disagree with that. It was one
of them ones where the moment you watch it, I'm sat there doing what you're doing, your little profile picture up there. I'm sat there, head in the hands, going, "Oh, Joe." It's one of them ones which you don't need to do.
Yeah, because I actually think he played well again overall.
He did. Yeah, he had a good game.
That was just a mad. He's going to have that, isn't he? He hasn't, Dean. Whatever we say about the fella, he just hasn't played enough football, has it? Now, I'm not making an excuse for him, or maybe I am, but he'll get that with more rhythm. That's one of those match situations where you need to have played a lot of games rhythm. I don't know. Am I making an excuse for him, or was it just...
No, I think that's a fair point. And we had a conversation on Joe Gomez a little while ago, sort of obviously after the Napoli debacle. It was, a few people were writing him off, and some said that they didn't think he'd come back in the team. And I always had confidence he would come back because he's a good player, right? And you don't become a bad player over the night. And like you said, he played well today. It was a rash decision. It was a moment of madness. He didn't need to commit to that.
And I think Bowen's quick as well. He's one of the quicker players. You didn't anticipate someone being that quick, because Bowen's probably the only person who could have got him ahead of him, because Gomez would have trusted his speed and reaction to get there first. And it was literally about a centimetre away from getting the ball. Yeah,
and he had a bit of luck in the end, because the penalty didn't cost us. But I think it would have been harsh on Gomez, specifically after the game against City, where he was so good, right? Like I say, he proved a few people wrong after the City game. So I'm glad for him that it didn't end up costing us anything tonight.
It didn't, and I think it's only fair I go to Tom, because you're such a lover of this guy. Just get the super chat out of the way. He says, Amir, thank you, appreciate the super chat. He says, great game. Great game, great win, great 3 points, Amir. Important 3 points, absolutely. Moving up the table, hope to think so. Performance not the best, agree. Midfield okay. First half, Becker and Darwin amazing. Mo needed better finishing. Yeah, we haven't touched upon Mo then, maybe. What did you make of Mo's performance today, Tom? On the periphery, but I don't know.
I don't think he likes that position he's got to play. I think he wants to get in the box. He's a goal scorer. He wants to get in the box. I don't think you get him involved enough. I think once you saw him up front, it was almost an over-eagerness once he went up front. Because Darwin got his goal. I thought he was all right up until Darwin got his goal, and then he started chasing a goal himself. You saw him have that one which went wide, one which went over, one which was blocked. He was having all the shots, and he was thinking, it'll come, and then it went. And then in the second half, when he got moved up front, when Darwin went off, he was almost moving a second too quick, half a second too quick being offside a little bit too much, cutting off his run before he could. He was a bit over eager to get that goal today, and the one that summed it up was the chance which he turned Kerr like he done Cancelo with an inch. But his touch, where against City, it was perfectly weighted to get him in just in the right spot.
I think you talk about this one,
time
another great thing,
slightly
I'm
too
sure
heavy.
The touch, yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's just on another day, on another day, it's 2, and you're sitting there going, it's a great Mo Salah performance. But I think his mentality today, he was chasing. You know, he's had a hat-trick against Rangers, a goal against City. He just wants to keep that momentum up to the detriment of the team a little bit. And I'll never complain about a striker being greedy. I know some people will, because you want your players to be perfect. If my strike, the positions he found himself in, if my striker's not shooting there, I'm concerned. So I'll never bemoan him for shooting in the situations that he'd done. It's just I'd like him to realise that sometimes he can't have every single opportunity.
Conroy, it's only fair now that I totally changed my tone when it comes to Alisson, because my God, that turns out to be a magnificent match-saving penalty, doesn't it? We've discussed this before. He's not got a great record in saving penalties, but suddenly he kind of has now.
Yeah, suddenly he has. I think if I'm correct, the FA Cup final, as I was watching it with my girlfriend, because I was on holiday at the time, and we're at this place, and I'm like, we've lost it now, because I'm like, Alisson, as soon as Mane missed the penalty, I'm like, we've lost it, because there's no way Alisson's saving a penalty. I love him, but it's just not his specialty. And as soon as he saved that one, he did save that. He does this, or does he touch it onto the post?
Yeah,
it does. If he doesn't, whatever. But ever since that moment, he's had a couple recently, and he stepped up. And again tonight, he looked. To me, I might be wrong. He looks more confident at penalties, like he believes he can stop them. And that might be nonsense. People might be saying it's a lottery, but it's an outstanding save. He's read where he's going. And listen, it's not the greatest penalty. I don't think it's the worst penalty in the world either. I think it's a really, really good save. Gets out of danger, which kind of goes unnoticed sometimes, how many keepers save a penalty but spill it back into the area for a tap-in. I think it's outstanding. Genuinely, guys, right? I'm not exaggerating, because Grizz knows I don't exaggerate. He is the best keeper in the world. Like, it's honestly unbelievable how we've been so poor, but he is so amazing. It's like... And I said to Grizz last season, it does annoy me in this season why the best keeper in the world has to make so many saves sometimes one-on-one at the start of the season. That would frustrate me. But do you know what? He's unbelievable. And genuinely, tonight again, shows it with a great penalty save. And I know we're going to go on to it, but that save at the end, kind of mixed with Milner's challenge where he hits it wide with his knees. Honestly, I genuinely think you talk about Peter Schmeichel, Grizz, being the best, and that's probably correct. But I feel like the way his decision-making to make himself bigger in these situations is just genuinely ridiculous.
I think there is I think by the time he finishes his career, people have to take what I say into consideration in terms of the context. Dean, I think by the time he finishes his career, because you're looking at, hopefully, fingers crossed and everything else, prayers and positive thoughts, we're looking at another 5 years, hopefully minimum, around that. Yeah, we could possibly, if he adds another Champions League and a Premier League to his tally, I think he definitely gets into the conversation of one of the greatest Premier League goalkeepers, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Gary Neville was saying fairly recently, he was saying he thinks that Alisson's been the best keeper in the Premier League era. He's been fantastic for us, hasn't he? Before him, probably Pepe Reina was probably our best Premier League era keeper, but he's taken it up a level above even Pepe. He was a great servant for us as well. But I just think Alisson gets better and better season on season. He's just so reliable, isn't he? He's just so reliable. When he's in goal, you're pretty confident that we're going to be safe. And at the beginning, maybe he made a few mistakes that led to goals at the beginning of his Liverpool career, but now it's very, very few and far between, right? Very rarely makes a mistake that results in a goal. So he's outstanding. And like you say, when he comes to retire, he's going to go down as an all-time Premier League great and definitely an all-time Liverpool great, which he already is.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely all-time great. It enables us to go in 1-1. We expect, I don't know, what did you expect at halftime? Did you expect any changes? Did you think, okay, we're attacking the cup? We've had a bit of a scare. That should be our reminder. Like, because I tweeted it, we're way too relaxed. We're playing in second gear. We really need to finish this off. Otherwise, this could get tricky in the second half. It ends up getting tricky in the second half. But what is the reason for that, Tom, in your opinion?
Two things. Just on the Alisson penalty point, I was the exact same with you, Conroy. When he stepped up to take that penalty, Bo, and I sat there going, he's not saving it. It's just 1-1. Ali don't save penalties. And then someone sent me a stat. Alisson has only conceded 10 of the last 18 he's faced, which is 56%. That's the best ratio out of any goalkeeper in the top 5 leagues to have faced 15 plus penalties. So
wow,
we sit there and say,
mad. Yeah.
It's mad. We don't think about it like that, do we?
Yeah.
It's definitely improved as of late, though, Tom, isn't it? Is it definitely improved as of late?
Saved them all. Some of it the post. Gundogan put one over against us. De Bruyne dragged one wide. So some went wide. He has saved someone. I remember Jorginho during the COVID year, Bowen today. And
so intimidating. He's got that intimidating. He's got an aura about him, hasn't he?
Napoli, didn't he? Saved the penalty against Napoli as well.
Yeah, Osimhen's penalty against Napoli, same side. But at half time, I was expecting. I've got to be honest. As much as I didn't want it had to happen, I did expect what happened in the second half. I figured. Okay. I know they had the penalty and Alisson saved it, but apart from that, which was a moment of madness from Gomez, they didn't threaten us. They didn't really give me a scare. I'm like, okay, I'm not enjoying this. So I expected changes to be made, and I expected them to be made on the 60th minute, but I just didn't expect that many. I expected maybe a 2, and then a 2, and then a 1. 3 at the same time in such influential positions. I know now Klopp's come out and said Darwin Nunez had to come off because he felt his hamstring. So that one was a bit of a forced one. But taking both Thiago and Carvalho off when he did, I just felt we lost control of that midfield, because as much as Carvalho was on the left, on the piece of paper where you look at it, he's on the left. As we were saying earlier, it was fluid. He was dropping into midfield. He was giving us another option in there. So sacrificing both him and Thiago for Jones and Fabinho. Jones, who I'm a massive fan of, he's come back from a long layoff, needs a bit of sharpness, and Fabinho, who, for all intents and purposes, was very, very, very poor today. And all the good work he'd done against Man City got offset by a really poor performance from today. That was where the lack of control came from. But I didn't expect us to go out there and try and find another gear and, really put the sword to West Ham, because we've got way too many games coming up to do that. If we'd have went out there, tried to put the sword to them, went up to 4th, 5th gear and couldn't score, then all we've managed to do is drain ourselves and not achieve anything else. So I can see why Klopp's trying to manage it a little bit more like this now. So get the 1-0 lead, defend second half, trust your centre-back, trust your goalie.
It does make any team weaker in terms of controlling a game when a player like Thiago Alcantara comes off the pitch. I mean, he was literally in control while he was on the pitch. But the Darwin Nunez Conroy substitution, is Conroy there? I think Conroy's frozen. Oh God, Conroy, are you okay, fella? No, Conroy's having a bit of time to himself. Let's just.
Darwin Nunez. It shocked him so much it's frozen.
Conroy's having a bit of time to himself. They're reflecting. But I'll come to you, Dean. The Darwin Nunez we spoke about didn't make sense to us.
Yeah.
But obviously we always don't know the full story. Yeah. So now he's suggested that, there was a bit of an issue. And considering we've only got limited options going forward now with the injuries, there was no way he was going to risk him. Same goes for Thiago. None of us want to see Thiago taken off, but we have to think of the long term. He's played a magnificent game against Man City, high intensity, probably one of our highest energy pressers. Again, he controlled pretty much proceedings while he was on the pitch. It makes sense now to understand those changes, right?
It does in a cold light day, but at the time, I think we lost some momentum when those changes happened. Like I said, I think it gave West Ham a bit of confidence as well. bringing on Curtis Jones. I think that was his first appearance in the league. So he's obviously going to be a bit rusty. Obviously, as Tom said, Fabinho had a stinker, to use that word. He was poor. And I thought, obviously, Darwin had played so well. Obviously, now we know he was injured. But I just think we lacked that little bit of attacking intent after he went off. And we were not hanging on because, like someone said as well, that West Ham didn't create too many chances, right? We defended, again, very, very well. That's 2 games in a row we've kept a clean sheet and defended very, very well. But, we invited a little bit of pressure on in terms of West Ham having possession. And, fortunately, we defended it very well, like I say. So, yeah, they seemed like strange subs, but at this point of the season, we're trying to manage minutes, and Forest is coming around on the early kickoff on Saturday. So hopefully Darwin's going to be fit for that, is all I can say.
That's so obvious, isn't it, Conroy, that because of the early kickoff, these subs were pretty much pre-planned. And there's nothing else we could have done about it. We had to do those substitutions. And then sometimes when you make too many substitutions, on top of already making 5-6 changes like we had to the original lineup, you're going to get a bit of a mismatch of a performance. Not mismatch, what's the word? A bit of a...
Lack of cohesion, yeah.
Disjointed. Lack of cohesion.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up with Dean's point, it seems that's the go-to, they save fitness as much as they can, especially the 5 subs this season. But yeah, I feel like you can tell that we've tried that a few times and it never seems to go according to plan. Or maybe that is the plan, get through the game and see what we can do and save the legs. But ironically, some of those changes actually done pretty well when they came on, but I wouldn't say the flow of the team, it didn't help that at all. It was very disjointed. It made it, scraps may be unfair, but it made, it made it more, what's the word? Just, grin your teeth, get through it with those players, which they was useful to have those players when it became that type of match. Preferably you just have the quality to finish the match before it gets to that stage. But do you know what? I don't mind trying that, but every time we do that, it doesn't seem to work out because, as I say, making that many substitutions in a team, as Tom says, you can't. It's not like FIFA. You can't just suddenly work. It's like you probably thought Elliot, comes on, played really well, but even he was decent. But it's hard to get it going when that team's just disjointed, as you said. So it made it harder than it had to be, and got a little bit nervous towards the end.
Liverpool 12th man is saying, Grizz, can you apologise for your respectful but slander of Bobby? Now that it's been consecutive games, he's been one of our best players. When did I respectfully slander him? I'm struggling to make sense of that. Liverpool's 12th man. Yes, I have very openly said we've seen the best of Bobby Firmino. That's all I've said. Doesn't mean suddenly he's a bad player and I want him and I've slandered him and I've called him all sorts of names. Find me anywhere where I've said nasty things about him. I think most people will agree that this is a renaissance that's surprised pretty much everyone. And maybe the formation change has helped him as well. So, but if you want me to apologise,
I'll made everyone question, does he deserve a new contract now, hasn't it?
Obviously
his contract's expired.
Absolutely. But let's get over 200 likes, people. We're finishing off now. Very close to 200 likes, which is quite a decent ratio. I'm quite proud of you lot. Look, I always start off with Bob. I love Bobby. But, sometimes, I'm just a fan. So what fans are supposed to do is speak on what they see in their opinion. And if they've got a platform, that's what they do. So they just speak on their opinion. It's not facts. It's not gospel. Don't take it to heart. Don't worry about it. Bobby's still a great player. And he probably will carry on doing a great job for whoever. But I just think we've seen the best of Bobby Firmino. And it's fine. We praised his substitutions, didn't we, Tom? Forget the Nunez one. We know why that was done. But it's good I come to you because you mentioned it, and I don't want to speak about Fabinho because people are going to start thinking I'm slandering him and I hate him, whatever. But 2 different substitutions you couldn't sort of find anywhere in terms of cameos. James Milner, we often, talk about sort of, why is he starting? But he's still in a certain situation, in certain aspects, in a context of a game, he's still one of the best men.
He's still got his use. He's still got his use.
It's because he's up here. he can't do it anymore in terms of what he wants to do. But there was a couple of
tell
times
Phil Foden that. You better tell Phil Foden that then, because
on the back of Tom, on the back of within a week, on the back of the Man City performance and his little 20-minute cameo, lads, 15 minutes, something like that.
20 minutes, yeah.
He's earned that 1-year extension, in my humble opinion. And on top of that, compared to Fabinho, worrying signs again. Like Declan Rice is a magnificent. I rate Declan Rice a lot, right? So I get Declan Rice is brilliant, but you can't be letting players like literally walk past you and not bring them down at least a game. That could have cost us.
I think Fabinho needs to realise, whether it's a team instruction or it's just something he's doing, he can't push up and press. He's not mobile enough. He's coming up against midfielders who have that finesse about them where they can just chink it past and then they're gone, and he doesn't turn quick enough. James Milner today, I've said my piece on Fabinho and I hope he sorts it out. All the credit in the world to James Milner. He came on when the game was at his pace. When it's at his pace, he's a very good footballer. I think people need to realise that. He can't... Should he be starting games regularly? No, because often games get too quick for him and you'll see him, you'll get that stupid yellow card because he's a second late into a tackle and he's on eggshells for the rest of it. This was a game which needed James Milner, and he saved us at the end against Thomas Soucek with a fantastic last-ditch tackle. The only person to have the bollocks to put in that tackle. We had Fabinho lying on the floor. Henderson wouldn't do it. Trent had gotten blown by. James Milner sticks his foot in there. Superb from him. But even...
That's the equivalent of a last-minute winner. That's the equivalent of a last-minute winner. That is a last-minute winner.
That's 1-1. If James Milner isn't there, it's 1-1 and we aren't scoring. We had no attacking options on that pitch to score. But something that I want to give James Milner so much credit for before I shoot off, the running that he done in that last 10 minutes, the amount of times he'd win that ball back in the equivalent of left back and then sprint up the pitch with the ball, carry the ball.
You see that run? Do you see that run, Tom, where he like flicks it over the...
I thought I was watching James Milner at Leeds. I thought is this what James Milner was like at Leeds?
Unreal.
Honestly, it was fantastic. And even then, you had the gamesmanship of him. We had a lot of gamesmanship today. The Van Dijk penalty spot, but James Milner in the corner, last 5 minutes, done it 3 times. Didn't keep it there for long, but it wasted some valuable seconds. Makes time to build up from deep. Cannot fault his performance today. He was probably, let me just think again, who came on. Harvey Elliott was all right, but he was definitely the best sub out of a below average bunch today.
That's what he's for, Grizz. How many times we said at the start of the season, that's what James Milner... See, if he was just asked to do that this season, honestly, there would not be this outrage. I'm telling you, they're not. That is what... It's unfair, and I have felt sorry for him all season. You can't be asking a 36, 37-year-old to do the things... It's just, you're putting a guy out to have... Oh, sorry, Tom's away, but you're putting
sorry, Tom had to go. I should have said it by from Tom. Tom had to go. Sorry.
See you later, Tom. But you've got a guy there who it's like you're putting him in a position which I think is unfair. I think tonight, Grizz, you've said it. Keith said it as well. That's why he's got extension. When it gets to those last 20 minutes of a game, gamesmanship, see it out, football intelligence. That is the definition of what James Milner can do and what he was actually, I think, initially planned to do this season. So do you know what? 2 games, right back, and then came on for the last 20 minutes and done that tonight. Again, I'm quite happy.
Worth that extension, Connery.
Yeah, that is worth it.
Those 2 performances, those 2 little cameos, for me, is exactly what you said. That's why he was given that extension, to have little influences on and off the pitch, mostly off the pitch, sometimes when needed on the pitch. And it was magnificent.
Invaluable tonight. That's important tonight, Grizz. That's see those wins we just need to get over the line. That's what you're talking about. And asking a 37-year-old to gegenpress in some of these games we played this season for 90 minutes, like, calm down. Do you know what I mean? That tonight, fair play. And I think Tom smashed it by saying the game was at his pace by then because the people in the park tired, a few fresh legs, not many. Excellent. And honestly, if we can do that all season, I'm so happy with that. That's the point in the extension. So, yeah.
Dean, I thought Virgil was good again. Some more positives. I thought Virgil grit his teeth again when he needed to. Gomez picked up his game again in the second half. Couple of times, few scary moments. Do you know what it is? They never bombarded us, but because we were not playing great there's always that back of your mind, isn't there, that they're going to just get a ball bouncing. And it could have been like that Souček chance, but we saw it out in the end. And I really enjoyed this side of Virgil when he gets nasty and he wants to defend, he wants to keep that clean sheet. It can only bode well for us.
Yeah, I thought defensively on the whole we looked good, to be honest with you. I know some people have picked on Trent again. There was that one moment towards the end which led to that Souček chance where perhaps he could have done better. But other than that, I thought Trent was better today defensively. Like you said at the beginning of the game, he wasn't taking as many risks. He probably wasn't going as forward as much as he normally does. But I think as a whole, it's encouraging for us that 2 games now we've got 2 clean sheets, something to build on. So yeah, it's good. It bodes well going into Forest at the weekend. If we can take 9 points out of 9, the table will look a lot better for us in the coming weeks.
100%, Conroy. We go to Forest now. It's just a matter of what? It's a matter of what? It's go on. What's that frown? I won't even ask you anything. Go on, talk to me.
Bad feeling about this game. I feel like we cannot underestimate this one. I don't want to hear we'll smash them. I just think you've seen last year in the cup. It was an absolute battle, which they missed a sitter in that game as well, which people forget. And then we went up and scored. I just think right now, it's a great result tonight, Grizz, going into that game, because I think it could be very similar in that game. Good spells, but a tricky end, and you need to have that resolve to get through. Looking forward to it. I'm just saying, let's game by game, let's focus on that. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. That's all I'm saying.
No, it absolutely won't be, will it, Dean? Going to a relegation-threatened team, they've made a lot of changes. When you make a lot of changes, like they pretty much changed the whole fucking team, haven't they, lads?
Yeah, they had a lot of loan players, I think, as well, so that's why they had to do that as well. It's
gonna be. I've just got a couple of super chats I want to get through before we finish off. Liverpool 12th man comes back with a super chat, redeems himself after saying I slandered Bobby. He says, I'm not surprised. Been saying Bobby at 10 will be rebirth. Yep, agreed. And we've said the same as actually. If you've been watching our summer shows, I'm pretty sure we pretty much said that his role needs to change, and he could be that. Yep. Do you remember, Conroy? We discussed it. Either he could be that most advanced 8 or a number 10. We thought
because we didn't have a 10 then. We didn't really play a 10 then, did we? So yeah, that's what we said.
But you never walk alone. Also, games like this, we've been getting draws. Getting a win is a statement.
Very good point.
Yeah, look, I'm not ready to say it's a statement. We need to aspire to be better than this. A 1-0 scrappy win against West Ham.
Clean sheet though, Grizz. Clean sheet though.
It is a clean sheet. It is a clean sheet. Yeah, absolutely. Mem_create. Oh, I like that. Create. Says, yeah, I like that. We finished the game with 5 midfielders and still couldn't get a grip on the game. Our season hangs in the balance of Thiago's fitness, Dean.
I think that's unfair. Thiago, we all know how good Thiago is and how key he is, but I wouldn't say our season relies totally on Thiago. I get what he's saying. We don't have a similar type of midfielder than him, but we have some players coming back.
We possibly could be if Naby Keita decided he wants to play for us again, and and put in the effort and work rate and show that he's not as injured as he's making out to be. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, we've got some other players coming back as well. We've got Ox coming back. Jones came on today, like we say. So we've got a lot of options. We all know, like I say, how important Thiago is because he's an absolute baller, isn't he? Let's be honest. And today he was fantastic again. But I don't think the season, completely relies on Thiago. I think that's unfair.
Conroy, I know you like to shut these ones down very quickly, so that's why I've gone to you.
No. I think what we need to do right now is game by game, because I think we need to get a bit of resolve. I think we need to believe that we can go on a run like that of wins again. So I think we're taking the right strides right now, but we have to just take that game by game because we all thought that coming back, and then we played the Brighton game, and we're all like, this is not good enough. Just keep going now. I think we can maybe get ourselves into that form where, as Winner Pool says, we can maybe go on that run. But I think you have to go on a run to overcome that challenge. And I need to see a bit more than now. Good start, but we've got a bit more to go. But then, Grizz, you can contradict that and go full the other way if you want.
No, I'm with you. And it's realistic. Let's be realistic about things, guys. We are where we are because we haven't had the best start. But yet we know suddenly 2 wins can turn into 3. Nottingham Forest, with all due respect, and I'm with you, Conroy. I'm with you that it's not going to be easy because they're going to be up for it. It's a Saturday kickoff. It's their cup final. It's the biggest. This is what they wanted to get back in the Premier League for. Am I right, Dean? Forest wanted Liverpool at home on a Saturday afternoon, the crowd, the town. This is their biggest game in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
The last time they played Liverpool in the cup.
Yeah. Early kickoff as well on a Saturday, you know, that's always one to worry about. I don't particularly like the early kickoff on a Saturday.
Hate it.
Yeah, we don't particularly play well in those games. So like we say, look, let's just get 3 points out of it. You know, again, I don't really care how we play. If we can get another 1-0, scrappy 1-0, I'll be happy with that.
We need to again, it's that foundation, isn't it? We need to keep a clean sheet. As long as we can keep a clean sheet, we know Forest will give us a couple of chances, and then we need a more calmer, hopefully a more efficient Mo Salah that we saw on Sunday, but didn't see today. I agree. He wasn't his composed self. I thought he was there. I thought he thought West Ham were there for the taking. Don't you think, Conrad? I think sometimes he gets into that mode where he thinks this team's here for the taking. Just give the ball to me. I can get a couple of goals here, up my stats. I think he captained himself in FPL, one of those ones.
Yeah, it's a bit like that tonight. But do you know what? Sometimes tonight, see when he has a shot from range and he skies over, I'm okay with that because he does get in those positions quite a lot. He doesn't really hit those rangers much as often anymore. There's long rangers, but it was like, I think so, Grizz. I think, as Tom said earlier, sometimes he gets that mindset. Nunez has scored, I want to score. I don't think it's as clean cut that he thinks about that every time, but I think when he gets in that area of danger, he's like, instead of maybe slipping someone in, you know, as you say, there for the taking. But maybe that's a bit unfair because West Ham have still got tools that could hurt us. So it's a bit like, we kind of just need to kill this game, Mo. Why don't you just roll that ball across to get us the win, and then you can go for it at 2-0. But do you know what, Grizz? As Tom says, you're going to have players who sometimes want that goal, and they're not going to change. And I think, you know, Mo's done so much. He was amazing at the weekend, so you can't blame him for being in that mindset.
No, of course you can't. Dean, looking forward to Forest. What kind of, I mean, it's literally 2 days away, lads. Like, Wednesday's done now, right? Thursday's going to be rest day for them, right? Friday, they're going to come in for a light session. Saturday morning, we go again. Dean, what are you expecting in terms of team? Have you got any concerns, in terms of how we're going to go again? Have we got a game in midweek, lads? Of course we have. Next week. Have we got a game?
Is it Champions League next week?
I think so. I think it's next week.
Yeah.
Someone will tell us in the chat. I'm pretty sure we have. There's no spare days. Absolutely, there's no spare days.
Or is it League Cup next week? Or am I getting
Ajax away next Wednesday. So would you expect, Dean, on Sunday? How do we approach this, do you think, then? A few changes again, I guess.
I expect Robbo. I think Robbo will come in. Wouldn't be surprised if... Was Khanage on the bench today?
Oh, I didn't check. I'm pretty certain he would have... No, he's not. Of course not. Khanage is back training by the weekend. He'll be ready for Ajax.
Maybe Firmino might come in and start, not particularly on his performance, but I think because managing minutes, I think he might come in as one of the two. I think obviously if Darwin's fit, he starts. Salah, again, you'd expect him to start. It'd be interesting to see who plays from the left as well. Wouldn't surprise me to see Jones play there maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, whoever plays, can't give a shit as long as they get us 3 points. Honestly, I don't care. It's one of those stages of the season where, you know, our perception of form and players and who we want to be playing goes totally out the window. Every game is a must win now up to that World Cup. It's so crucial. People, trust me, after the World Cup, we'll all realize how crucial this period could be or will be. It's all about momentum and getting points on the board and staying in that pack. What I mean by that pack, I don't know. Top 6, top 8, wherever it is, we know we've got the stamina and the lung power to continue it. Maybe others won't have. We need to sort of keep going and keep the momentum going. We will keep the channel going tomorrow as well, because tomorrow we will have Young Bucks doing their preview of the Premier League weekend, and then Friday we'll have the Eurostars, and I'll have some form of preview to the Nottingham Forest game as well. But this has been your pre-match carnage. We have been Conroy, we have been Dean, and we've had Tom Little joining us who had to leave early. We have had nearly 350 of you in here at some stages, but poor amount of likes. Let's just quickly smash that like before we go. We love you. It's been great. It's been emotional, stressful, but we got 2 wins out of 2, and we keep the train going. Take care, people.